we come bearing leaks. Yeah, I'm Jiho, co-founder of Sky Mavis. We're the inventors of Axie and Ronin, and yeah, just feeling blessed to be here, and yeah, happy Halloween, everybody.
Hi guys, Jung here, founders of Sky Babies. The town hall has actually been something I look forward to. So it has been some very busy weeks. I do think that we have a lot behind the scenes. Well, a little bit excited, but can't share with you guys yet. I think in this town hall we'll try to go through some of that. Yeah. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Jiho, what is our game plan for today? What are we going to be talking about before we hop into things?
Yeah, so we're gonna go through the state of Lunacia, talk about some of the data, some of the recent launches. Things are looking up, and we're gonna talk about why, and we're gonna go into some of the specifics. Yeah, next we'll talk about Homeland, where we're at, and some discussion around the future, and we'll talk about Origin Season 11. We have a couple of new features lined up for Season 11, like the some changes to the Rune and Charm system. And then we'll talk about Classic. Classic is currently testing part evolution integration, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then, yeah, we'll talk about a new Axie core mechanic. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get there, and then we'll use that as a springboard into the grand finale.
I think, yeah, there's some very exciting leaks, to look forward to. We'll get to at the end. We also have some Q&A questions we're going to get to a little bit later on. Now, these questions, there's a form that's sent out prior to the town hall. So unfortunately, if you've got questions in the side chat, we aren't necessarily going to get to those, but we do have some questions lined up that we'll get to a little bit later on. But for now, let's hop right into it and talk a bit about Axie Delegation that just recently launched.
All right. So yeah, we released some of this data via the State of Lunacia report that came out. But yeah, delegation has been out for 2 weeks. Delegation is something that's really important, right? Axie is known for creating the scholarship system. OGs like AK and Chief, right, were really pioneers there. But that was always, right, like a player-run system. There was never a formal way to create those types of relationships on chain. And I think the amazing thing about that, right, about the scholarship system is it created these social and economic relationships between people all over the world, right? There were people in Southeast Asia, Latam, America, Europe, right? They were all like kind of entangled and meeting each other through this amazing system where they were creating these really interesting bonds. And of course, there was an element of work and play, but there were a lot of really amazing friendships and relationships that came out of the scholarship system, right? So delegation is a feature that took a lot of planning, right? There was actually even an Axie governance vote, right? The first Axie governance vote was actually about, right, delegation and upgrading the Axie smart contracts. And this was actually so innovative that, right, Duke, or Duck, from the Sky Mavis engineering team, he actually submitted, right, like an Ethereum improvement proposal based on some of the discoveries that we made while cooking this feature up. So yeah, so far, just through the first 2 weeks, over 55,000 Axies have been delegated. There have been 11,500 delegation-related transactions. There are 4,400 managers so far. And remember, right, so these numbers are steadily climbing by the day. And for most of this period, right, Homeland was the only game that had delegation live. And Classic and Origins are on the way. And actually, no, I stand corrected. All first-party games have now integrated the delegation feature. So that's Classic, Origins, and Homeland. But Classic and Origins, right, just very, very recently within the last couple of days.
Awesome. Now let's move into the State of the Nation address. This huge post that just popped up today. If you haven't read it yet, you can get all the details on blog.axieinfinity.com. But we've seen some awesome numbers there.
Yeah, so it's morning once again in Lunasia. Axie is gaining energy, and we believe that we're building a very strong foundation from which we can springboard into some new and innovative mechanics. So yeah, what's happening? So the metrics are looking up. DAU within the games is steadily increasing. Daily active addresses, monthly active addresses are up. You can see that through the bounty board data. There are 208,000 total participants in the bounty board so far. And we're at 100,000 standard or standard bounty board participants. The premier bounty board is also increasing, where it looks like we have had over 50,000 participants. So yeah, the bounty board system is working, and this is a system that we came up with as a way to keep up engagement, and as well as to deliver precious AXS tokens to the people that are actually playing our games on a daily basis. And app.axie trading volume is also very strong. We have seen a total of $25.6 million traded so far this year, and treasury inflows to the treasury also continue to increase. There have been around $2.7 million of treasury revenue. And to put this into context, if you compare revenue to any of the NFT projects on Ethereum, Axie is number one. Axie is making more money on a monthly basis than I don't want to name names, but the famous NFT projects on Ethereum. And a lot of this is being driven by things like Axie Core, where evolution, ascension, and revenue is increasing. There was actually this Axie governance hackathon, and they made some great dashboards, So there's a dashboard that we'll send the link out to. You can find it on blog.axieinfinity.com, but it's basically showing the revenue breakdown. And what we're seeing is that Axie Core, especially through ascension and evolution, is creating a lot of flow into the treasury. And we're also seeing the precious collectible Axies finally starting to increase in transaction volume, as well as their floor prices. The Mystic floor hit 10 ETH for a bit there. It's now at 5 ETH. I remember it being at 2 ETH earlier this year. So the collectibles are moving up. Origins are now at 0.5. Japanese Axies have been super solid. So yeah, the collectible volume is looking great. And I think this is interesting because I actually believe that this is the first time that you've actually seen an NFT project, especially these higher value collectible NFTs, appreciating and being traded more based on their utility. You've seen a lot of NFTs that have been done well as status symbols or these Geblin goods, these things that basically they're expensive, so more people want them. But with the collectible Axies, through the bounty board system, through the metamorph system, and through the collectible leaderboard, through the collectible boxes, through the whitelists that you're getting for having Mystic Axies, right? We obviously have that really famous diagram of all the Mystic Axie benefits that we've delivered. And still need to be more, but we are making a lot of progress when it comes to actually delivering concrete utility to the collectibles, and that is showing up in the market.
Amazing. Amazing. So we've also seen a lot of stuff happening on the app.axie side, stuff like bulk ascension, which has been hugely popular, and as well as improved fortune slips for collectible axies, which might also be another reason why we're seeing such a hype around them lately. You want to talk a bit about those?
Yeah, I mean, so bulk ascension is a feature that has been sorely required, right? It's been something that many of our community members have been asking for, many of our players have been asking for. It's something that I need, right? Like, I actually have so many Axies that needed to be ascended, right, due to things like Homeland and Origins. But right, it's like I think I had like 300 Axies that needed to be ascended. And so, yeah, I've started to basically bulk ascend them. And, that's great for the economy. That's great for access demand. That's great for inflows into the treasury.
Yeah, no, I think everyone's happy about that bulk ascension feature. It's hugely needed and greatly appreciated.
I actually, so I also have some other data, right? So due to basically the metamorph, right? So mystics, obviously we think about mystics a lot, but some of these other, graphs for the collectibles are looking crazy, right? The origin floor has gone from 0.28 ETH to 0.5, and so it's an increase of 70%. The Mayo floor has more than doubled, going from 0.08 ETH to 0.178. Christmas Axies have gone from 0.09 to 0.177. That's 96%. Japanese Axies, yeah, super solid. 0.046 to 0.066. That's an increase in 43%. Summer Axies, right? A lot of people have summer Axies, and these have gone from 0.006 ETH to 0.0098. That's an increase of 63%. So we're seeing, right, that when you add utility to these things, you add more functionality, and great things are starting to happen.
Right, you get an in-game utility with the part morphings, and you're getting more fortune slips, which are needed for the premium bounty board. It's good all around. Now let's jump into Axie Classic and our approach for part evolutions within the game. Can we talk about that?
Axie Classic, right?
Absolutely, Axie Classic.
Yeah, maybe Trung, you can take this one.
Yeah, I can jump in a little bit. So I think one of the thing in our tacit, right, and also one of the concern, one of the feedback from different players is that, right, why we have two card games within the Axie universe. And the more we think about it, the more we want them to be, right, different. We want them to experiment in different directions. I mean, whatever makes sense for the game, whatever makes sense for like growing the Axie ecosystem as a whole. But in order to do that, right, we need different thoughts. I could say, right, for Origins is a little bit more about growing the power of Axie parts when we get to level 2. With Classic, we are actually approaching by giving, right, the level 2 parts more flexibilities, right, some options. Think about Dota, where like when you level up the skills, sometimes you have different options, different mechanics that you can choose between the two. The skill tree in Dota, right? So every time when you like level up, you need to pick one of the two options. So that's the first thought, and then get to our approach in level 2 parts in Classic. The other thing, because right, I think it has been a while. Whenever we want to release all the like new things for Axie body parts, approach its own way, right? Trying to release everything at once, which is huge. I think as we progress even more, let's say in the future when we have even more body parts, right? Not just skins, that will become like a tremendous work for each of the Axie game team, right? To maintain the whole pool of body parts and release like all the new mechanics at the same time. So we are thinking about doing it more like incrementally, that we can release a subset of the body parts each time, so that reduces the pressure on the team and that we have more time to create new things that people can rotate their interest and try different combination, try different strategies. So those are the 2 core points that lead to our approach in Axie Classic right now for level 2 parts. So every season, we're thinking about testing 33 cards, and then the next season, can get the feedback from the communities or try to gather a pool of ideas, and then we can start with the next 33. So that's what we are thinking about for level 2 parts in Classic.
I think that's a great plan to allow the community to test these things out and give feedback, so that the whole meta isn't shocked right off the bat from this huge increase in options. Like, as you said, the part upgrades aren't necessarily going to be a better option, they're going to be a different option. And so like Dota style, right? And while it's not going to be fully implemented yet, people will be able to test it out in Cursed Colosseum, which is going to be very exciting. Now, there are some other aspects of Axie Classic that have been worked on in the shadows, stuff like guild chat. Can we speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that people have been requesting is a chat in the game amongst their guildmates, and yeah, so there will be a guild chat where you actually also be able to use stickers, and so yeah, we want to explore with in-game social features, right? And I think that's just a step in that direction.
What other exciting changes can we look forward to in Axie Classic?
So one of the things that people give feedback about Axie Classic, that is sometimes it becomes a lot of pressure, because you have to keep up with 2 different modes every season, and that leads to burnout, and we have seen a fair part of player feedback about that. So we wanted to make some adjustment so that player can select whether they will play the mini tournament or the Cursed Colosseum, not both. I think that's too much. And also we want to lower the amount of players a little bit for GB, so that so the maximum it could be 50 players. So theoretically, 10 players can kind of take a day off, and there will be helpful for guild member who have adversities in real life. We know that the Philippines just had 2 typhoons in 2 weeks. So I think, well, not saying that this directly correlate to solving the negative impact of what happened, but I do think this add a little bit of positive feelings to what people experience in Classic. So yeah, that's also some, I could say, small change, but it would help a lot. Yeah.
Right. I think everybody needs a day off. Yeah, everything in moderation, including moderation. I think this is a great change to give people that breathing room. We're also really excited about the Axie Classic circuit and the upcoming Axie Classic World Championship. So if anyone is working towards that, good luck, good luck. But for now, let's hop into Axie Origins and the newly announced rune upgrades coming in season 11. Who wants to take this one?
Okay, so I can talk a little bit about the thought process behind the decision of the team, and then maybe Jeff can go into more details. But when I talk with the team, right, one of the things that we always want to do, right, sometimes it's just a little bit more, sometimes it's a lot, but it's all resolved around, right, having more progression for the game. That could come from, right, Axie progression itself, right, from Axie core, or it could come from, right, having more in-game progressions so that people have the feeling that they achieve as they, right, play and progress more within the game. So that's one of our tests. And when it comes to the seasonal model right now, right, every season you have to grind like over and over again. And for runes and champs, I mean, not saying that, right, they will change the core aspect of runes and champ, because, right, the seasonal model still adds a lot of, right, kind of new feelings for players every season. But we want it to be, right, more incrementally progressed as we enter a season. So to give more progressions to runes and champ, we think about upgrading rune in a season, and at the same time reducing the minting fee for epic and mystic rune in chat. We are still working on the numbers, but that's a general idea, because, right, once you have an option to upgrade runes and champs, you have something to, right, work throughout the season instead of just going through, right, the gacha game like every time when a new phase of the season starts. So that's a general thought. And one of the thing that also leads to, right, the decision from the team, because, right, runes and champs right now we see them as something pretty limited, right? They are very singular. And the more you roll, it's for like it's for aiming for like any particular runes and champs that you want to use to complement your formation, your team. But at the same time, that also limits, right, the ability of giving like smaller rewards, increasing smaller but increasing reward for people, right? So that they feel like so that players feel like they are, right, working toward something. So that's also the thought, right? Because then we can play around with like some different game modes to give people reward to make sure that, right, eventually they have what they want for their team. So yeah, those 2 points leads to the decision of, right, creating some more progression for rooms.
Yeah, I can't tell you how frustrating it can be sometimes when you're grinding for a specific rune. Maybe you have 2 out of the 3 mythic runes that you need for your team, and instead of getting that last one that you need, you end up unlocking one of the ones you already have. Well, in this case, that actually isn't a bad thing. That can actually help benefit you through this rune upgrading system, which players can now test out through preseason 11.
So that's something we have been working on for some time, right? From having a PT system for runes and champs to make sure that it's less random for people to achieve the needed runes and champs. But I mean, at its core, right, the nature of, right, rolling for runes and champs, it still has its own kind of limit, right? Sometimes it will favor favor certain players, sometimes will not, right? Um, so not saying that, right, with rune upgrade we will completely solve the problem, but I think it will affect like positively affect what we want to achieve here a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. It seems like a really exciting change. There's also a brand new game mode in Axie Origins called the Haunted House, where players are actually their Axies are transformed into a preset team. Who wants to talk a bit more about this one?
So yeah, we don't want to reveal too much. We want to save some surprise for the actual game mode. But like I mentioned earlier, the purpose is to experiment with different game modes that give rewards, incremental reward inside the game, so that people can enjoy different things, not just grinding for the leaderboard. And yeah, I think it's also to lessen the pressures. You don't have to own way compete on the ladder, which gives more aspect to the game that we already love and play.
I think new game modes are always exciting for the community. Yeah, I'm excited to try this one out. Let's jump over now from Origins into Homeland. We have some sentiments from the community that we've seen talked about, and we want to address those here. And the first question is whether resources from this new Axie game, which has been hinted about and leaked a bit during our last town hall, whether this new game will be taking resources from Homeland.
All right, so yeah, let's talk about Homeland. Let's talk about the state of Homeland, and what's next. So obviously, we had like the whole incident right back in January, where there was a very underwhelming release. The community was quite upset. Trung and I, we came into the trenches, and we, wrote out the founder's note on Homeland. Right, there was a lot of discussion at that time. Right, community members were like Arctic put out like actually very very compelling arguments for, what went wrong with Homeland, and how Axie could right this ship. Maybe not necessarily even how Homeland could be used to restore confidence. And so, at the time, and we chose to go with the strategy of let's make the current product playable and workable, and improve it via many of the upgrades that were shipped, right? Like we basically made sure that the NFT Axies were implemented, right? People didn't like that passive adventure was using something that wasn't their Axie, right? So we integrated AXP, we integrated the Axies in the game. You can now use your Axies in passive adventure. You can earn AXP with them, and there's the the passive adventure leaderboard, right, which basically adds this like competitive element to it as well with your Axies. We shipped, right? People wanted to try out something that was more social. They wanted also like to be able to try out land even if they didn't own any, and that was what we had with avatar mode. And all along the way, we've made some quality of life improvements, and there were complaints about the rarity system, right? And to address that, we're also shipping this expanded storage system. It's always been clear, right? Like for the last couple of years, right? And especially since January, to us, to most people in the community, that Homeland is never going to be the Axie game that we all dreamed of. It's just it's a project that is there have been a lot of bumps in the road, and we've had to learn a lot, as a founding team. Like we take responsibility for a lot of the issues that have happened with it over the years, and in January we faced this crossroads, right? Are we going to tear it down and just start working on a new game, or do we stabilize the system, right? And we basically, right, chose to stabilize the game, right, deliver enough content so that it can be seen as a complete game, and then, right, start thinking about the Axie game that we've all dreamed of, that we've been dreaming of for 6 years. And yeah, so in the last town hall we discussed, right, that we're exploring something like an Axie MMO, and we've continued, right, over the last month or so, 2 months since the last town hall, to explore this concept. And so yeah, it's going to be a process, it's going to be a conversation, and right, so that's basically how these things are connected. And also, right, like the avatar mode from Homeland, right, a lot of that back end, right, like I was talking even to Arctic, right, he was like, wow, like this is actually pretty good, like this is something that, right, paints a picture of what an Axie game could be. And we also felt that, right, where it was like there was something special about, right, walking around with your Axie, hanging out together, and that definitely sparked the imagination. And a lot of that work, right, can be used for, right, a new Axie game, but with some reuse of some of the code potentially. So yeah, that's what I have to. That's basically what I have to say about Homeland. Right, is like we've delivered the things that were on the founders note, but we need to think bigger, and right, we have to admit that Homeland is not good enough, and right, what are we gonna do? We can't cry about it, and we need to, right, think about the next move and think about all the lessons that we've learned and how we can apply that to the next thing.
Wonderful.
So yeah, maybe Trung can also add some of his perspective.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of thoughts for this. I'm not sure how to start, but yeah. I think the incident with Homeland at the beginning of the year was like a wake-up call for Axie, because right, I mean the other games were doing fine, but it's also right remind us of the big dream that we have for Axie, and remind us of right the core communities that we want to serve first before we try to achieve any ambitious goals. So until now, I think since the beginning of the year until now, things have changed a lot. And I'm not saying that we are doing right a perfect job, but I think you guys have seen right a lot of effort putting into making sure we provide more utilities for the assets that you guys love, right? The characters that you guys treasure, and how to right convert all of that into like emotional feeling, right? Positive emotional feeling for people when they play games, when they interact with their own characters, with their own axes, with their own access, right? With their land plots. So that's a direction. But right, in order to take one step further, we do think that we need more than that, and the current trajectory is not enough. Right, as I could say, as the biggest builder of Axie, we also have a lot on our plate. And well, my confession is that sometimes, even though I kind of agree with with people's opinion in Mystic Mountain, like agreeing, right, firsthand is not really an answer, because we also need to balance right between the disruption that we might have with any approach, and the kind of right ambition that all Earth has for Axie. So yeah, just wanted to clarify a little bit our difficulties in right navigating the situation with you guys. Back to right Homeland, back to right what it means for the new game. I think with the same approach, with the same input, right, and a deterministic operational approach, it's hard to imagine a different output. So we have learned a lot from Homeland. We have shown that right since the beginning of the years with games within the Axie ecosystem, like Homeland included, and we want to right channel all of that. We want to convert all of our learnings into something bigger, something more ambitious, that we want to share with you guys now and later. So that's a general thought. And yeah, we don't want to be more transparent, be more public about this, but also at the same time, we also want to be a bit conservative, with what we are building, whether we are heading at the right direction, whether it is good enough to share, and gather feedback. So it will always be a balance. But yeah, I do think that having feedback from the communities, doing some hints and links here and there, doing some theory crafting, doing some simulation, thought simulation within the communities, especially the core community members would help a lot in our journey of achieving this victory.
Right. And that actually leads perfectly into one of our first community questions. And this one is from Pixelated Vince. He asks, can you share some leaks about the Axie MMORPG? So this is what we've been talking about, and I don't know if you guys have anything more you can say about it, but if there is anything, I'm sure the community would be hugely excited about.
What can we share?
I think we've given some context, right? Where it's like, we've learned a lot, from the community, through the whole process of building out Homeland, even from Project T, from the early days of dreaming about terrariums, early even Project K demo, we've learned so much, and there's a huge potential for a game that puts together all the things that we've learned about not just what the community is interested in playing, but also all the lessons in Web3 economy design, that we are the creators of Web3 game economy design, We're just talking to one of our mentors actually, who works on a Web2 game kind of that has had a real money economy going for 20 plus years, He told us that you guys in this community, you guys are the ones that can build a game that truly demonstrates the true potential of Web3, because you have this passionate community, because you have this super strong, iconic, nostalgic IP, and because you've thought the most about the hardest questions and issues when it comes to balancing a Web3 game economy. So, and so yeah, I think there will be more leaks about the MMO, but that's actually not the focus of today. But we did want to provide a bit of an update as well as what it means as it relates to Homeland.
Right. Well, at the end of the day, it does seem like it'll be the culmination of years of testing and experience from some of the best minds in Web3 gaming. But let's move on to the next question. We have Zephrich, who asks, when will we have a breeding event again for collectible Axies?
So, we've had many breeding events. What if we did something a little bit different?
We actually prepared some links for you guys. Are we ready for that, or it's still in the later part? Right?
Yeah, I think maybe we should save that for the end. But there's something to look forward to for you there. But let's move on to the next question for now, because I think that was a big enough hint right then and there.
Related,
Yeah. So we have a question from Omelet King. Have you been thinking about AXS after 2025? Curious to hear your thoughts on transition from staking to the treasury and how ready we are for that.
Well, I think that we have made awesome progress as it relates to governance. Of course, it's going to be slow. I think the point of governance is that it's slow. If we wanted to be fast, Sky Mavis would just do it ourselves. Yeah, but I think that governance has made tremendous progress. Shout out to the town builders. Shout out to everyone who participated in Contributor Season 0, Contributor Season 1, all the members of the different councils, the designers, the flag designers. I think we did something very historic earlier this year with the vote. This was not just like a vote with simple token voting. This had reputation score based on your contributions in game, as well as the NFTs that you own, and also contributions to the community. And I think that was historic. And a lot of that, right, is like related to this path of, being able to unlock access the treasury, and the positive economic benefits for AXS as that type of initiative matures.
Wonderful. This next question. Oh, go ahead, Trung. My apologies.
One thing I like about it the most is that we don't have, I myself don't have to involve too much. I would say that we are in good hands. I'm actually impressed with the work from the governance council. Very impressed.
I'm sure they would love to, I'm sure they're happy to hear that.
Hats off to the town builders. This next question comes from Kiru. They ask, are there plans for an Origins World Cup like we have in Classic?
Origins World Cup. Well, so the thing is, right, like, we have like slightly different structures. I don't think that it necessarily makes sense to copy the competitive structure in Origins and Classic, right? Like these are two different games with different things that work well for them. And I think it would be kind of boring to just straight up copy, right? Like I think the Origin system with the Elite Eight and the season winner, I thought that was a sick innovation, for Origins. I think it was my idea, to be honest. I'll take credit for that. But I think that system is pretty cool. And so I'm not 100% sure if it makes sense just to copy, right? Like the different competitive aspects, between the two games.
Sure.
We can definitely explore it though. Talk to Pos2, ET, Slim. And these are the guys to funnel your kind of esports or competitive Axie feedback to.
So it's not off the table, but no current plans. Now this next question.
Pos2 in the chat says he's exploring a World Cup for Origins to go with the Axie Classic World Cup. Might invite all the Elite 8 winners. So
that would be a tournament of the champions. That'd be crazy. All right, this next question comes from Axie Trainer 560. They ask, are there plans for Axie Pals to come to mobile?
So I was looking at the Axie Pals data. It's actually pretty impressive, I have to say. The retention is crazy. It's actually been growing since launch. But that said, right, it's like, I see Axie Pals as an experimental product. Right, like the thesis that we want to test is like, do people want to, some sort of a Tamagotchi-like experience with their Axies? I think the answer so far is yes. They're interested in it, especially if they can earn some AXP. And I think it's like been relatively simple. I think it's like a small victory, and definitely that we know that the traction would be much higher if it was on mobile. It's just a question of priorities, and if you guys really love Axie Pals, continue to play it. And that can be a signal to the Axie Pals team, right? Remember also that Sky Mavis is not the creator of Axie Pals. This is a product made by a company called Kindred. Kindred is also an AI company, and I'm really excited about some of the stuff that they're doing. They'll also be working with like Hello Kitty, I believe that's okay to say. So they'll also be working with some like pretty cool IPs. So yeah, I think it will also depend on what you guys tell the Axie Pals team you want, and their capacity, and they also want to balance, right, bringing on some other stuff that might even be a faster way for Axie Pals to grow. What if that extension blows up, from Sanrio or Hello Kitty integration, right? That might be a more interesting way to grow. So
Yeah, I think it's such an adorable way to spruce up your browser and have some fun as well. And the idea of the AI integration is something that's really exciting for the future. And that pretty much does it for our community questions. I think it is time for the leak territory. And the first one we have on the table is this new thing called forging. Who wants to take this one?
all right, I got this. All right, introducing forging. So forging is a new Axie core mechanic. What is forging? Well, you can think of it as crafting, right? So I grew up playing games like Diablo, World of Warcraft, RuneScape. Sorry, I didn't actually play RuneScape, but I actually watched my friends play RuneScape a lot. But I was like a hardcore crafter in Diablo. And we know that crafting systems are great for balancing economies, right? They are a great way to create progression, new and interesting progression mechanisms, even professions, right? Specialization. And so, yeah, we will be introducing a forging system. You can think of it as crafting. So, forging is a foundational new Axie core mechanic. Basically, forging will allow Axies, right? So that's important. Forging is actually an Axie specific mechanic. So your Axie itself can forge things. So it allows Axies to combine different on-chain resources or tokens to create new items. And this will basically provide a flexible and scalable method of balancing certain key parts of the economy. So how do you forge? So first, your Axies must unlock blueprints, right? So blueprint is like a recipe. And blueprints are giving Axies the ability to forge certain items. And so what are these items? Well, to start, we're introducing 2 blueprints. There's the blueprint for the Super Cocoa, which will give 15,000 AXP, and Dark Flame. So actually, the Super Cocoa blueprint will only be available to collectible Axies that are above level 30. Level 30 and above. Right, so this is more utility, more incentive to actually level up your collectible Axies, because you'll then have the ability to unlock a blueprint. And then there's the Dark Flame. Right, I think you guys have seen this a little bit on Twitter. So Dark Flames will be used to devolve Axie body parts. Well, why would you want to go back? Why would we want to go backwards? Well, that's actually something that you guys will find out more about soon, like why you would want to potentially devolve your Axie. And just like the Super Cocoa, this blueprint requires a level 30 collectible Axie to unlock. So why am I saying that, right? Like you need a certain Axie to unlock a blueprint. What does that mean? Well, basically forging will have a cooldown. So when you forge something, your Axie will go into cooldown, preventing you from actually forging anything else until the cooldown completes. And rare Axies will have a shorter cooldown time. So you guys have that. I think, Ryan, do you have that diagram?
Can we switch over? Unfortunately, I'm not in control. There we are. There it is, popping up on the screen now.
So one question that the community might have, right, is, and maybe Jeff K will be in the audience to answer this, is, so let's say, okay, I have a level 30 collectible Axie. It has the blueprint. So the blueprint is like Axie specific, right? So once I hit level 30 with a collectible Axie, I can, right, forge one Super Cocoa if I have the ingredients. And then right? Let's say I'm in a gamogenesis Axie, right? If I do a epic recipe, right, or blueprint, I'll be on cooldown for 7.5 hours, but I can still, right, like, I can still forge with my other collectible Axies that have unlocked that blueprint that are, right, off cooldown. Am I correct? So basically, my understanding is that the forging is specific to the Axie, not specific to your account.
Now, will there be fees like this as well, like minting runes and charms?
Yeah, so there will, so this is, we'll also like introduce a new sync, a new way of yeah, new utility for access tokens. And the cost will be based on the rarity of the asset you're forging, right? So certain blueprints will be more rare than others.
This is a super exciting addition to the Axie ecosystem, and in my mind, this is Axie core mechanic, right? This isn't an Axie game specific thing. Like, this isn't specifically for Origins or specifically for Classic. This is something that'll affect the ecosystem overall.
Yeah, so Axie Core, right, is like the glue that links all Axie games together. And you know, we've seen that Axie Core, right, is that it's part of what makes Axie unique. Like, because we are the longest standing, longest NFT project in continuous development, we've begun exploring parts of NFT utility that nobody else has gotten to, right? And dude, crafting, holy cow. Like, I was writing about crafting in 2018. So this is actually kind of an emotional moment because, you know, this will be, right, just a taste, but yeah, I think it unlocks like a ton of different potential.
Wonderful. And some of what we're talking about here actually leads in to the next leak. Now, I don't want to say too much, but are we ready to show the people what we've got in store for them?
I don't think so. I think the chat needs to show us that they're ready. I need to see like a wall of freaking leaks. I need to see a wall of leaks in the chat.
Give us the leaks, everybody. Come on.
I don't believe that you want it.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're
this-
leaking now. Oh, they're coming in hot.
Nice. Woo! All right. Happy Halloween. Let's go.
Replay the
All right.
You need to unmute
Oh, the sound is unfortunately just on Twitch for now. There's some Discord bug which is not playing the sound from the side. Yeah, we're looking into it. So.
We're seeing a lot of speculation in the chat. I think some people are might be getting close, but still a little bit far off, you know. A lot of speculation, a lot of questions. People are excited. This is this is an exciting one. Now again, unfortunately, we couldn't get the audio here on Discord due to a bug. But to find out if there was anything that you missed out on, you can check out the Twitch stream. The audio will be there as well for this little video. But that pretty much covers everything for this town hall. Jiho Strong, do you have anything else you want to say to the community before we shut this thing down?
For everybody who was with us in the town hall, like, we will release that video on Twitter very soon. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. Yeah, it's always special to hang out with you guys, right? Like, I think it's really important that, you know, as we progress through this journey, that we can, you know, that we stay in touch with you guys, that we're you know, I feel like for a lot of different projects, you know, as the founders, I don't know, get more well known and more successful, right? Like, they can definitely lose touch with their communities. And I think, like, part of what's been special about Axie and Ronin, right, is that, you know, we've maintained this bond with the community, that you guys are always pushing us, that you guys are even complaining, and, right, like, you know, we know that it's because you guys love Axie a lot. So yeah, you know, happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the leaks and the insights, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Jiho. Trong.
We can play, I think.
Well, I actually have a lot of nostalgic feelings these days, especially when people post, right, old pictures. So we started actually when I was 25. Now I'm 32. So looking back, right, almost 7 years ago, the journey has been long and wide. But I do think that we have achieved a lot together, and we'll continue to do so for the next, I don't know, decades and even more. Thank you guys for being a part of Axie.
Well, thank you, Trong. And thank you to everyone in the audience for joining along this town hall. This is the end. We're going to shut it down here. But again, thank you all for showing up. We got a lot of good information here and a lot of good leaks. A lot of stuff to look forward to in the near future. So until
Ren,
next
we can
time-
play the video while we go. I think we can play it with sound now. Elias, can you try
got
now?
it fixed?
All right, let's watch it together. Come on, let's try.
Let's do it one last time.
Come on.
Elias, you can unmute your mic and try.
If you're not seeing it, check out Alias.
Nightmare Axie. Holy shit. So this is like, seems like a new collection. That's what we know. And then, you know, we said that de-evolution was a hint. So.
There's some pretty big hints there. Pretty big hints
Dude.
there. If people
Yo,
can
shout
put
out to our
two and
art
two
team.
together.
Shout out to our team. Shout out to Duke, Zed, Elise. Obviously, shout out to the GOAT Masamune for just making Axie art amazing from the beginning. Yeah, it's always like a special treat when we get like a new Axie animation, and yeah, this one is like super fit for the occasion.
Okay, guys. Take care. See you next time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jiho and Trong. Thank you, everyone in the audience. That'll end it. If you missed anything and just showed up at the end, you can catch everything on Twitch. It's been streamed there as well. So look out for that. And also a lot of the creators on Twitter, I'm sure, will be making concise synopsis of what happened today. So until next time, everybody, I'll see you all in the arena.
Yep. Right.